Uh, Hello, everyone. Welcome to our weekly SIG meeting. Uh, Today we have a couple items on the official agenda. The first one is actually from me. So, after kind of 8 years in SIG Autoscaling, I decided to step down. Uh, for the past 1 year, I've been at Google involved in a couple of other efforts, and probably it's the best time to formalize the state of the reality. So this is probably my last meeting as SIG chair, and I would like to thank you all for uh, great time, great contributions, great ideas, great meetings, and all of the good things that happened in this SIG. So thank you all. And now SIGs require at least 2 chairs, so this position will be open. And if you think that you would like to be part of the SIG leadership, I kindly ask you to submit yourself. On my behalf, I would like to recommend Maciek Pytel for this position. He's been around SIG for 6 years or so. Is great knowledge about all of the autoscaling products, in particular cluster autoscaler. But I guess it will be up to you as the community how you proceed next, or how you pick the candidate. I wish you good luck and good my replacement. Okay. So that was one thing. The next thing is few HPI question from Jeff. One.
I've not had this one's sort of sat on the agenda for a while. I've tried chasing Jeff up through Slack, but not.
Ty owca. Jakub.
I'm here. Sorry. So from me, I've added one point to the agenda, but it has multiple sub points, and basically all of this is results from the alignment with Carpenter that we have planned. You're probably familiar. Sorry, let me just look what I exactly put on the agenda. Right. So I opened 3 issues. One is for aligning the APIs, which is again part of the alignment proposal we had with Carpenter. For that, we definitely need to have the Carpenter folks involved first, probably, because most of the unknowns there just depend on their answers. And the other 2 are aligning the core concept naming and in turn implementing, like writing documentation covering both CA and Carpenter, like general, like broad node autoscaling Kubernetes documentation. And I have a PR ready. I will send it out very shortly after this meeting and link it in the agenda. But I have the PR with the documentation ready. It uses the terms that I have proposed, so provisioning and consolidation instead of the scale up and scale down that we have. It also lists one of the APIs that I have proposed we aligned on. So like it touches on all of the 3 issues. We can like comment out parts of it if we don't align on the API before we aligned on the docs and things like that. But I would encourage you to, especially you, Guy, as you're one of the approvers, to read the documentation and just any comments you have, either do them offline or the next SIG meeting. And in general, if anyone has any like objections to changing the naming, I know it's quite a big change, like to change the names of like very core CA concepts. But I think it will be beneficial in the long run. So if anyone has any objections to that, just feel free to contact me. that was basically it. So I will broadcast the PR shortly, and we can sync on the next meeting if that's okay with you. That was it for me.
So one maybe context item on this. I had a SIG update on this last KubeCon in Paris together with Jonathan from Carpenter, where we also discussed the plans and ideas for this, and we kind of discussed the motivation essentially around ease of migration and portability for the customers or users. And so this may also provide some additional context on the idea. The recording is on the YouTube, so I can also add this to the agenda doc.
You're on mute, Marcin.
Sorry. Okay, the next item from Krishna. Krishna, could you please give us a little bit more context on your item?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you very much. I mean, this is an ongoing issue we discussed in previous meetings. So what happens was, I mean, there is a unsafe termination of placeholder node. So it is terminating a stateful node instead of the new node that was recently provisioned by autoscaling group whenever it runs into this insufficient capacity issue. ASG tries to scale up the node group, and then it runs into insufficient capacity issue for the first time, but eventually it successfully provisions the node. So during this race condition, cluster autoscaler realizing that ASG failed to provision the node, and simply it's setting the desired capacity back to what it was, and that was resulting in unsafe termination of existing node. So the 5829 PR provides the detailed steps what causes this particular situation, and we discussed about it and the possible ways to work around it. I mean, I spoke to Guy last week, 2 weeks back, and what we agreed upon was, when you are terminating the node, the one way to fix it, when we are terminating the node, we look into the placeholder nodes versus the provision nodes, and we identify the recently provision node by ASG, and we terminate that instead of a random stateful node, right? So that's one way. Or better improving the logic. The alternate way we thought was another way to fix it by improving the mapping between placeholder and provision nodes. So, I mean, the next steps, the reason I'm here today to request, for the next steps in fixing the code. I mean, if you wanted to choose one way or the other way, so, I mean, the first one seems to be easy to implement versus the second one, where, before terminating the node, you're going to check, okay, am I terminating the random node? And if there is a placeholder node, if there is a provision node with the result of intermittent failure of insufficient capacity, so maybe we'll terminate most recently provisioned node rather than randomly stateful node. So I mean, if you're going to go with that option, the next steps, sorry. The reason I'm here today is to request, see if anyone can take the ownership in fixing that code.
So
yeah, go on, please.
I mean, it's AWS specific, so realistically, it's going to be either myself or potentially David, or is like who's going to review it? Because I think, as we discussed last week, it's entirely AWS specific. There's no changes, I don't think, to the core autoscaler code. I am just slightly, I'm not 100% sure what my bandwidth is at the moment. I will try to give it a look, but that's most I can promise at the moment.
Yes, Guy, you did mention last time, right? Basically, in AWS provider, especially the AWS Autoscaling group logic, where we are trying to delete the instance. Perhaps we can check if it is a placeholder instance, and if there was a recently provisioned instance in ASG, and that was because of a failure in the thread scaling activity, we can link it back and perhaps terminate that instance rather than a random instance, right? If that logic can be done, that would be great, and that's going to help us a lot. We are frequently seeing these errors nowadays, and that's helping, that's basically causing lots of instability issues for our downstream customers. So I was wondering, Guy, I mean, if it is possible to pick up this fix and see if you can able to start making the changes.
Yeah, I think to me the second option is still the one I would prefer. Like just deleting the newest one to me still feels risky, of like that we end up impacting customer workloads unexpectedly. I sort of my assumption is that the second one should be doable, but I'm not 100% certain off the top of my head. I mean, it's more likely to get done if someone digs into the code themselves and raises a PR that either says we can't do it because of X, Y, Z, so we're taking the first approach, or something similar. But yeah.
So I mean, so I agree with you. Right? I mean, the second approach does look more better than the first one. The reason is, I mean, even if we terminate the node, we are essentially going to retry again that operation, right? It's an additional overhead from C point of view. But if we want to go in that path of option 2, I mean, what are the next steps, Guy? I mean, do we need someone to look into the code and come up with high level steps how we wanted to carry out that, or
that would be my immediate thought. I just I gave the 5846 a look over. I want to give it another look over because it's just, as I mentioned before, like it feels to me like that's going to result in unintended side effects. It's going to be quicker probably for someone to raise a PR and get a review on it from me than it is for me to try and figure out the code myself and raise a PR.
Thank you, Guy. So you're going to take a look into the code for the number 2 and raise the PR accordingly, right?
I mean, that is probably going to be slower as I have other sort of things, but I'm likely to be quicker if someone else is able to raise a PR for it. If you don't think you're able to do that, I'm happy to look into the code and try and figure it out myself. But yeah, I don't know. I'm reluctant to commit to a timeline on that.
Thank you, Guy. I mean, for me, right, I'm not a great coder, to be honest. I've done in Python, but not in Go. I would really, really appreciate if someone from the team can help in this aspect, right? Especially looking into the number 2 option and see what are the areas, especially how we can maintain this synchronous state between ASG and placeholder instances, right? And take and carry out the next steps. So thank you, guys. So in that case, I mean, I will try, but as I mentioned, right, for me, going through the code, it's going to take a lot of time. But I would really appreciate if someone from the SIG team or you, because you already have the expertise, and it would be I mean, little bit of effort compared to mine. I would really appreciate your help.
Yeah, and what I can also do is stick because there's already an issue for it. I'll stick a help wanted label on that and see if that results in anyone wanting to pick it up themselves. But otherwise, yeah, I'll need to try and fit it in at some point.
All right, thank you. So the next steps in this case is, I mean, I'm going to join again next week, but any actions from my end I should be looking at?
Not at the moment, no. I will if I do get around to raising a PR, I will link it into the existing issues, etc. So that should pop up there and make you aware of it. But, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Krishna. Next is Marco.
Yeah, there is an older PR I found by trying to research how to achieve the same thing that should enable end-to-end tests for VPA on GitHub PRs. And like a few people have LGDM'd it over the course of a few months, but nobody did really hit the merge button. So it seems like if nothing speaks against it, we could just merge it.
Okay, so it's just pre-submits, right?
I guess so. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we can merge it, and in case it causes troubles, roll back. It doesn't modify any code, right?
Yep. That's
Okay.
test infra only.
So let's merge it maybe.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Okay, next item is Jakub again. Alignment with Carpenter.
Sorry, I added it for the next week already.
Okay.
But like I mentioned it now, leaving the link for everybody to be able to review until next week. I also dropped the link in chat, and there is a live preview staged inside the PR if you just want to look at the results. I'm also linking it on the chat right now, and we'll get back to this next week.
Okay, so looks like we covered everything for today. So thank you all for joining, and have a great day, and see you next week. Take care. Bye bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.